Thank you for joining the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the Long Island National Wildlife Refuge Complex in celebrating World Conservation Day.
Good question. What does conservation mean to me? Well, conservation, in my mind, refers to preserving parts of history, cultural, natural assets, resources, whatever you would like to call them. Here on Long Island, I feel it's especially important due to how the population density is. Without conservation efforts in regards to wildlife refuge and open land and habitat, it very easily could have been, without these efforts made, could have easily been built into housing developments and neighborhoods. So you would have people, young people growing up around here that may have never seen what the natural environment actually looks like on Long Island. So I feel that's a very important reason to do the work we do. Another thing that I respect and admire, I don't know exactly the year, but I think it was maybe in the 50s and 60s, there was a lot of building going around here. And there were certain individuals in the surrounding communities that saw what was going on and basically put a stop to a lot of this urban expansion. So I admire them, and a lot of them have since passed away, so in a sense we're upholding their legacy. And I just feel it's a very, very valuable thing that we need to preserve.
So what conservation means to me is it's looking for the best way that we can protect wildlife while still coexisting with them. I think a lot of people just want to use all that they can, and a lot of people want to not touch it at all. And so I think conservation is about finding the in-between that so we can satisfy both sides most of the time we can.
Conservation is such an important concept and topic. To me, it means protecting animals, protecting land, doing our part to reverse the damage that is done, thinking about more than just ourselves and how our actions impact other species and lands. It's also about education. Doing our part is important, but it's also important to educate others on why we need to be aware of conservation efforts and the impact that we can have in a positive way to our earth, to our land, and to our communities.
So when I think about conservation, I think of Rachel Carson. And Rachel Carson encouraged everyone, especially adults, to inspire a sense of wonder in children, so that children would come to gain a personal connection with the environment and with the natural world. And to me, conservation is inspiring the next generation, getting them to make that personal connection and to appreciate the natural world, not to be scared of it, not to be indifferent to it, but to have a personal connection with the natural world that encourages them to protect it, to understand it, and to understand their role in it. Because I think a lot of people these days see themselves as separate from the natural world, like something other than the natural world. And we have to get back to understanding that the natural world and human beings are part of the same system, and that our health, our personal health, the health of our communities is very much tied to the health of the natural world. And until we can understand our connection to the natural world and appreciate it, we won't be able to protect it. And if we can't protect the natural world, we can't protect ourselves. And so that's what conservation means to me, protecting the natural world and protecting our own health.
To me, conservation means protecting and saving things. This could be water, animals, habitats, and many other things. For instance, poachers overfish and will kill and overdo things. But if you just kind of minimize the numbers, it can be better for the nature and stuff, and help from animals from going extinct.
So when I think of conservation, I think about the act of saving something. And for me, because I'm a biologist, what comes to my mind is saving a species or a habitat a species might use or an important ecosystem. And one species that I've done a lot of conservation work on the Atlantic coast is the piping plover. And to me, that's a species that's near and dear to my heart. I've been working on it for over 20 years. And as a biologist, we go out and we take a lot of conservation measures. So basically, we're trying to save that species and we want to get it off the endangered species list. It was listed in 1983, and it's a small shorebird that nests on the beach, and so that's why it needs our help. So a lot of times there's that conflict between people on the beach, and so we set up ropes to help give them some area to nest and to feed and to take care of their chicks. And we also put up lots of signs telling people about the plover and how you can help it. And we also sometimes we put up they almost look like cages. We put them up around the nest, and that keeps out predators. So there are a lot of threats to the piping plover, which is why we're helping to save it. And there are lots of things you can do too to help. So basically that's what conservation means to me.
I think it's a basic topic of protecting our ecosystems and our wildlife, and it could be something as simple and basic as turning off a light switch when you leave a room, or turning off a faucet when you brush your teeth. And it could also be something like taking a day off to go to the beach and pick up garbage. We need to reduce, we need to reuse, and we need to recycle. We could do a lot of simple stuff to protect our environment.
Thank you for joining us on World Conservation Day. You've heard what conservation means to biologists, to visitor services managers, to interns that work for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the Long Island National Wildlife Refuge Complex. And you've heard from kids and junior camp counselors. Now, what I want to ask you next is what conservation means to you. It could mean preserving our wildlife populations. It could mean recycling and reusing as many materials as we possibly can. It could mean shutting off a light. It could mean saving a plover. Conservation can mean anything to you as long as you think that it is important for our world to understand conservation efforts and to help them thrive, or else this world will not be ours.